we going?
Going to pick up the baby.
The baby? We got a baby?
Yeah. Well, it's a big baby. Well, she's pretty old actually. Like nearly 20 years old at this point. We're going to get the Legacy Wagon.
What?
It's all done.
Finally.
Finally. It's only been 2 years in the making. Hello. So, didn't video record the process of getting the trans out of the Spec B, but today we're trying to pull what wiring we can from the interior of the car. Empty engine bay. Got all that out. So we gotta start in here. I already got the passenger seat out of the way. I'll probably pull the driver's seat just to get it out of the way, make it easier to climb around in here. Got the dash half apart just from trying to get the transmission out with the shift knob and stuff, and gotta pull all this apart and try to get as much of the bulkhead harness as I possibly can. I was looking at some wiring diagrams, and it looks like really there's just like one part where I'll have to reroute a wire from how it's currently set up for the automatic in the wagon to a clutch switch off of the stick here. And then there's just the bulkhead harness basically on the engine side that goes to a different plug for the manual transmission versus all the multiple plugs for the automatic. I'm hoping that harness itself plugs right into the ECU. It was hard to tell from the wiring diagram because I'm not great at reading wiring diagrams. So we'll get into it here and see what we find. And I want to get the gauge cluster too, because I couldn't find anything that really specified whether or not the clusters were entirely different between a manual and an automatic. I gotta imagine they are, because I don't know if a manual is going to actually tell you what gear you're in, or if you're in drive or neutral or whatever. So yeah, we'll get to it, and we'll see what happens. Torn out here. Got the steering bar off, pulled most of this harness off the firewall there, got it disconnected, goes all the way back here along the trans tunnel. A couple things it hooks into. E-brake is kind of the furthest back. Quite a bit had to come off that side as well. Got it started pulling out from the firewall. Did have to get basically all of the HVAC system out in order to access everything. Just getting ready to pull the pedals off, get those out. Realizing that the bulkhead harness goes out both sides as well and along the fender wells. And connects to a bunch of stuff up in there as well. So still got quite a bit more work to do to get this bulkhead harness off. Definitely a pain in the ass.
Is barely my asshole.
This is up in the wheel well towards the back, towards the cabin. There's where it comes out. Travels up and through. Yeah. Comes into the engine bay over here, splits off, does a couple other random things too that I'll have to take care of. Had to take apart the fuse box inside the inside the engine bay, excuse me. So here's that. Basically, they just have like little clips. You push those in, everything kind of pops out of the box. And then there were several harnesses that needed to disconnect. And once I detach everything from underneath the wheel well here, I'll be able to pull that out and feed it through. Something to note as I was taking apart this side. So this is the end of the bulkhead harness on this side. Connects to this ABS distributor kind of unit thingy. There's also a ground right down here that connects to it. And that's basically all that comes into this side of the engine bay. I think there was like one more connector, but it wasn't connected to anything, so I'm not sure what it was for. But to feed it through this little hole here, I had to remove this bolt from the reservoir for the power steering unit to make space to get it through. So I figured I'd make note of that. All right, got the bulkhead harness all detached. So it looked really daunting.
Well, it could be worse.
And I mean, it was time consuming, but I wouldn't call it hard. Just a lot of work. Okay, so figured I probably ought to do a quick rundown of parts that I've grabbed for the 6-speed swap in this automatic. So I've got the whole Spec B pedal box that I took off the parts car. There it is sitting over there. So best bet is to just get a whole parts car. You grab whatever you need to. So this is, let's see, MT specific off the steering column. I think it's a well, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but it's something that needs to be possibly transferred. Grab the whole steering wheel because the steering wheel has the adjustments for the stereo instead of the transmission shifters. So grabbed that whole column. I'm hoping we can just kind of swap over the steering wheel and this box down here and the wiring associated with the steering wheel, and still keep the same ignition system that we have for the automatic, and then just rekey the codes. I'm ended up going with a standalone unit instead of swapping over the ECU from the Spec B, but that is also an option for those of you that are just looking for closer to stock situation. I have the gauge cluster here. That's just an E85 sensor, going E85 for the standalone. I've got the whole bulkhead harness. Now the best bet is that you're going to want to swap that entire thing over if you're just going for stock to stock feel or close to stock feel, because then you're just going to have all of the wires that you need. Possibly might need to do the fuse box as well, but that's all attached to it anyway, so you'd have to take that off to get it off, so that's not too hard to get to. It's just time consuming. This box here is full of all sorts of other stuff. So there's the shift boot that is different than what's already in there, and I grabbed all like the hardware that goes underneath that as well. I have some extra gauges I'm going to be installing. I got all of my hardware from the pedal box, the starter. I'm not sure if it's different or not, but I scavenged that too just in case. Got the clutch master cylinder here. We've got some brackets and stuff that came off the transmission. You have your slaves, I think it's a slave cylinder, I think that's what that's called, that pushes the clutch fork. Here's the clutch fork itself. I had to buy new hardware to go with that, so that's what is in this box. Let's see, I ended up getting a short throw shifter and bushing kit to go as well. You're going to have to get the rear diff and drive shaft as well out of that, so I did scavenge that, and I ended up getting a Cusco rear diff mount that's there. I'm also going to be getting all of the lower control arms and the rear knuckle, all those aluminum parts, so I went ahead and got some energy suspension bushings to get pressed into there. Got a new clutch line there. Scavenged my STI pitch mount off of the old car. So those are a few extra things that you don't have to do for this project, but yep, just trying to give you an idea of all the parts that are going to be needed. Yeah, and then I've got the clutch over here. So there's the clutch and clutch plates and all that stuff. That'll be going on. Let's see if there's anything else I missed. So, oh, here's the ECU. I did pull it out, but not going to use it because we're going standalone. As far as I know, that's going to be all the parts that we're going to need. It looks like the axles should mount right up from the automatic to the 6-speed, so I shouldn't have to worry about the axles except for the rear axles, but those will all come off with the rear diff when that comes off. I was not able to get that off of this car because the bolts were pretty seized up. Thank you, Michigan. And so when I take it to the shop, they're just going to have to cut those off and get that all out of there, and do all of that stuff. So plan is to drop it off at the shop this week. The transmission is going to get looked at this week at the transmission shop, and they'll be able to tell me if it's ready to go or if it needs some things. And we'll be gone for about 3 weeks on vacation. I'm hoping everything's done by the time I get back, but we'll see.
Yeah, right.
Going over to Boxer Automotive and getting everything put together. Okay. This is the final drive with the automatic. Not sure why I feel kind of sad. I should be happy to get rid of this thing. I've only driven the Legacy GTs with an automatic. I've never driven one with a manual, so when I bought Old Blue with the automatic, I actually loved the fact that it had the auto gear select. And yes, it does have a delay to it. Watch the tach, and I'd actually hit the gear in first gear. I'd hit the gear select at like 5,500 RPM, just so it would shift at 6,500 RPM. Towards the end of its life, for whatever reason, the gear shifter stopped recognizing shifting up the next gear under heavy acceleration. I don't know why. Buttons and steering wheel still worked. It's definitely the gear shifter, but it was only during heavy acceleration. I think there's an old video on the Instagram showing me missing a shift, even though you can see me clearly banging that gear up. Not only am I going to manual, but I'm going to a Spec B 6-speed. The quarter-mile drags. We only ran it once. Carrie drove it, and all she did was mash the gas, so no power braking or anything like that. And I think she ended up running something like a 16 or 17 second quarter-mile. I'd have to look back at the tickets, but it was definitely a slouch. The torque converter on this thing and the way it's tuned, the power is all in the higher RPMs, and so it takes forever to get through first gear. Like once you reach about 3,500, 4,000 RPMs, like you're getting pushed into the seat and it's going. But man, those first few thousand RPMs, it's just agony of waiting for things to happen. The other thing I'm excited about is the fact that all the squeaking and clunking and all of that stuff's gonna go away. So we're gonna swap out all of the control arms with the aluminum control arms from the Spec B as well, and we're gonna be putting in Huh? Yeah. That's why all the new control arms and bushings and stuff. Josh, why are you up there?
Thorntonburg.
That's what happens when you forget to disconnect it before you raise the car, right?
Yep. Here. It's completely separated, so it's just at the bottom now. Oh, hold up. Lifting them up here. Alright, you're good. Lower it down just a little bit. You about got it.
It won't go down.
Okay, I'll just try that sucker out. You're like literally like a hair off.
There it is.
It's sitting on the subject. It's out.
Out with the old.
It's a big trans.
That is a big trans.
Good stuff. No, this one's not gonna go on. You take a video.
Yeah, right.
There it goes.
Tra-la. All right, so discovery. We figured out that these mounts here for the transmission mount on the automatic are actually further back in the trans tunnel, So the front bolts were actually just a plug. That was good. Those are easy to find. So the transmission is in. As you can see, the mount doesn't quite reach where the automatic location is for the mount. So what we're gonna have to do is put in a 1/4 inch piece of sheet metal that will drill out for the holes and lift this to where it needs to be and bolt it all up. Should hold just fine. That looks pretty firm to me. And then dropping it off over here at Gem Sport. Good afternoon, folks. Gonna take Morris here, who's in his best fall festive wear. We're gonna go get the Subaru covered with the car cover. Seal skin, right? I think is what it's called. Seal cover. Seal skin.
Oh, and I'm reading about a Navy SEAL.
Oh. So anyway, yep. So we're gonna get going for that and take a trip over to Jackson, Michigan at Gem Sport, where it's sitting waiting for its tune. Because there's gonna be snow, and we want to make sure that the baby is covered. The Subaru that doesn't like snow.
Not this one. Not this one.
Not that one.
But the Subaru.
The Subaru, yeah.
The Subaru.
Yeah. Look at that patina. Gotta be in the video.
Yes.
So that they could wire it all up, put a ECU in it, dyno tune. We got the dyno tune back. We got 350 horses. So yes, we are like 2 miles away from excitement.
Cool.
I am both excited and nervous. I got the butterflies and the tum-tums.
Yeah, there's some other Subarus.
Yeah, look at that.
We missed you, baby.
Ooh, that looks like a fun thing. Needs something though. That's better.
Back inner. I got a wiggle stick. Ooh, that feels nice and firm.
You see that the reverse lockout doesn't actually lock out.
Oh, really?
It's just basically on all the time.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't, you can't like lock it out. So the difference between 6 and reverse is
One more click over.
it's a question.
Okay.
Because
Oh, yeah. Like it doesn't.
like I guess have you ever used a,
Not a 6-speed, no.
oh, okay, I see. Well, usually like, you know, it rests in the 3/4 gate and
Yep.
then you push it over to the 5/6 gate.
Yeah.
And then you have to pull up on that release to get it all the way over to reverse.
Okay.
That release is just always up. So you can always go into reverse.
Okay.
So if you're gonna use 6th gear, just be really careful.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And make sure you go like straight back from 5 to 6.
Gotcha.
And even finding 5th gear is difficult because
Yeah.
it doesn't keep you from going
Yeah.
too far to the right.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Sounds good,
Good.
man.
Good to know. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no, I didn't want you to like go for 6 and
Crunch.
yeah, exactly. So just be careful with that.
Sure.
So-
Yeah.
And that's why 5th might be a little tricky, but you'll get used to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Okay.
made it about 20 miles from Gemsport and had to pull off here at this lovely makeshift rest stop, construction zone. I don't know. We're waiting for a tow truck because
Pretty sure the wheel bearing went out, or the axle nut is not tight, but something you can push this wheel and it just clunks. So way too much play there. That's what that crazy noise was that I heard inside. So we'll see how long this takes.
Yep. Hey, at least it's a nice day.
It is a beautiful day.
The life of a performance car driver.
I was like, it started out with a little bit of noise, and I was like, oh, you know, I haven't driven this in a while. Maybe it's just noise I'm not used to, you know, or it's, you know, it's the manual. I was with some firmer bushings and stuff, so I was like, okay, it's just a little more road noise. But then it just started getting really loud after getting through that construction area, and I was just like, oh, this isn't right. That's I don't want to keep going on that because I don't want a tire to just go flying off. Wasn't noticing too much vibration, but
That's crazy.
yeah, I know.
It seems like you would notice that first.
There was a little bit, but it was like, it was no worse than like maybe having a tire slightly out of balance, you know. So it wasn't like crazy vibration. It was just definitely like a little bit of vibration as a steering wheel. So
Well, it's not exactly the same, but challenge your inner Derek from VGG. I feel like this is a spot that
Yeah.
you would stop.
it's true. Hold on, let me go. Had to stop on the road. Started getting some noises at the front of the car.
Tinkers.
Little tinker tinkers. Thought maybe it might be these extreme rear contacts going bad. Nope. We got some wobbles. It's okay. It's alright. Nope. Nope. Little leftover parts. So the steering wheel is back here. This is the switch that we're gonna have to replace. If I had tools with me, I might even be able to do that while we're sitting here. But I didn't think that far ahead. So Carrie and the boy are gonna go head over and pick up some food. I'll stay with her, make sure nobody messes around with her, because we're just kind of hanging out in this construction parking lot. You know, don't really want to leave her alone and out in the middle of nowhere like this. So still got about an hour and a half. But anyway, so it's an adventure. We'll get her back to the house and get into that front end and see what exactly is going on. Yay. Oh, she's back where she belongs. Buddy of mine came and picked us up. Roadside assistance was taking way too long, so shout out to Andy, thank you so much. And there she is, back where she belongs. Don't mind all the parts. Just had to do some cataloging from the Escort.